Hello everyone. My name is Nipuna. I'm just setting my phone up so that I can look at all the comments that I'll be getting during the conversation. Okay, I think we're ready. So let me introduce myself. My name is Nipuna Ambanpola, and it's really good to connect with everyone today. Um, Before I move on, I would really like to thank the Sustainable Education Foundation for giving me this opportunity to speak. I've gone through their work, what they have done before, and there have been some really great speakers. So I consider it myself an honor actually to be speaking and sharing some of my experience in the nonprofit industry and the work I do right now. So let me give a little bit of an introduction of myself. I was born and raised in Sri Lanka. I was born in 1994, and I went to Royal College, Colombo, and I was involved actually in a lot of volunteer work, rather, I would say, and a lot of student organizations. Mainly, I was involved in Interact, where all the credit goes to growing me as a person and giving me a lot of opportunity to plan events and things like that. And for the year 2013-14, I was a senior prefect at Royal College. I was also the head prefect during that tenure. And in the year 2015, I actually got a scholarship, a Rotary scholarship, to come to the US to study. And since then, I've been in the United States. I'm studying economics. I'm studying for my undergraduate degree. And since I got the scholarship, Rotary has been a big part of my life. Rotary has provided me a lot of opportunities to travel, a lot of opportunities to serve the community, which I'm a big part of. I think serving the community is the biggest topic that I dedicate myself and my time a lot to. So right now, I am the student government president of the Georgia Southern University, Armstrong and Liberty Center campuses. Just to give you an outline of it, universities around the United States have a student government association where student representatives are elected from the campus community, or rather students, and they have a legislative body and they have an executive committee where they take up the concerns of the students, and we write legislation and we enact those legislations on the campus community so that we contribute to enhance student life, better academic options to students. So right now in the Georgia Southern University that was recently consolidated, there are 27,000 students. At the Armstrong and Liberty Center campuses, I'm providing leadership to about 7,000 students, and my tenure will actually end in May this year. Apart from that, I am the co-founder and executive director of IVolunteer International, which is a nonprofit organization. It is also a registered nonprofit organization in the United States. It has the 501c3 tax exempt status. That means basically it's a legalized nonprofit organization in the US. And from that nonprofit organization, what we do is we basically connect volunteers to volunteer projects around the world. Before we made the nonprofit organization, what we figured out was it was really hard for individuals to volunteer. I mean, I know there is a big community of volunteers who are engaged in organizations around the world. But what we found out was it was really hard. There is a proportion of community that actually can't volunteer because they're busy. They have work, they're full-time students. And because of that, they're actually unable, even in the United States and in a lot of other countries, they're unable to dedicate themselves to one organization. Basically, it's really hard for them to attend weekly meetings. It's really hard for them to pay a membership fee. It's really hard for them to be a part of an organizing project with like a 6-month, 7-month commitment. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to create a platform where organizations who are organizing these volunteer projects, or even individuals who want to take action, they can actually post their volunteer projects on a platform. And then we'll promote those volunteer projects to the audiences that they're looking for, and we'll connect them to volunteers. So that's basically the idea of IVolunteer International. We're basically connecting volunteers for volunteer opportunities so that those individuals can volunteer whenever they're free for the causes they care about. Throughout the time, what we figured out was we actually wanted a lot of big organizations to post projects. But over time, what we realized was we have created a platform for individual people also to take action. As an example, let's say you're just one person who wants to do some kind of, let's say, a beach cleanup. Then you can post your project or your idea on our platform, and then we'll support you. We'll use our expertise. We'll use social media campaigns, and we'll use our partners to connect those communities or your surrounding community to your project. So individual people also can take action. So that's about IVolunteer International. If you want more information, you can visit www.ivint.org or just type IVolunteer International on Google. We are lucky to be the first search result. And then apart from those responsibilities, I am the district road track representative for the road track district 6920. Road track here is very interesting. I haven't had any road track experience in Sri Lanka. Before I could join road track in Sri Lanka, I actually moved to the United States. But I had a lot of interact experience, which is, I would say, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I would say it's almost the same experience when it comes to project planning and networking and fellowship. So I started the road track district here as the first DRR. And we just actually elected our DRR-elect and the DRR nominee. So the road track district here has a really big future. And we've started, establishing road track clubs here. We have about 8 road track clubs right now. And we've been spreading the road track message here. Rotary is really strong here. But for some reason, road track hasn't had the amount of exposure that we have had in Sri Lanka. So, yeah, for now, I do my responsibilities as SGA president, as the executive director of IVolunteer International, and I'm also the road track representative for the district 6920. Apart from that, I keep on the back of my head that I'm studying as well. So that's about me. I'll just quickly move on to the topic, because I think that's why everyone's here, to kind of get an insight about what the topic is about and what I'm going to share. So the specific topic that I chose was aligning technology and personality for everyday success. And there are a couple of things that you really need to remember when we're talking about this. The first one is I'm sharing experience that I use. I'm sharing tools and some of the tips that I use. So if you could be using completely different tools, maybe you don't need these tips because you're in a different industry, or you just have a different personality, or something else has been working for you great. So just remember that when I'm sharing these tips, that it's actually the tips that I would like to share or that I use for my life to make it efficient and to keep it more organized. The second thing that's very important about this topic, aligning technology and personality for everyday success, is I'm talking about everyday success. I'm not talking about who you're going to be in 10 years. I'm not talking about who you're going to be like in 50 years, or what your career is going to be in the long run. I'm talking about tomorrow. I'm talking about day after tomorrow. I'm talking about today, about how you can align yourself using the technology and using the personality for your everyday success, so that day by day you grow as a person, and you expose yourself to a lot of opportunities. So so the first important part is defining success. What is success to me? So success is actually 4 components to me. I've been thinking about it a lot, not just because I was preparing for this talk, but over time I wanted to know what success is about to me. The first one is success is about how many lives you have impacted. And I'm not talking about charity work. I'm not talking about volunteer work. I'm talking about your day-to-day work, about how many lives you have impacted. On this topic, you need to remember when you're impacting lives, that whoever you are, even if you're a student, even if you're an employee of some organization, you could be the employer. Even if you're at home with your parents, there are people around you who depend on you. So that's the first point of what success is. Success is what kind of impact you make to the people around you. You can be a student. If you're a student, there are teachers who are depending on you. There are friends who are depending on you for your accountability, for you to be responsible, and that's success. If you're at home, there are parents who are depending on you. There are relations who are depending on you for you to be accountable and responsible. If you're working, there are managers, there are people above your position who are depending on you. There are people below your position who are depending on you, horizontally and vertically. There are customers who are depending on you. So success, the first point is, it's about how many lives you impacted. Again, not just charity work, about the work you do. The second thing is accountability for your work. So making sure that you evaluate before you do something, evaluating before you work, making sure that it benefits yourself and it's benefiting the people around you, and taking accountability for that work is the second point of definition of success to me. The third and the final point is actually pursuing your own goals. I know that the society is moving towards society is very progressive. It's moving towards an accepting, inclusive society, but we do understand that there is still a misconception that the best jobs to do would be to be a doctor, to be an engineer, or to be a lawyer. Those are the things that we grow up with. And don't get me wrong, those are amazing jobs, and they contribute to society so much. Those are needed jobs, but make sure that you pursue your own goal. It's basically what you want to do. If you're good at something, you need to be able to develop yourselves in that industry, and then just do what you love. But here's the thing, here's the catch. You're responsible for the growth that you have. So as an example, if you're passionate about something that you do, but if it doesn't generate an income, and in the long run, if it doesn't generate an income, the society is not to blame. The responsibility is in your hands. So, we've come to a section where we've moved from, depending on others to taking responsibility for your own self. So do what you love, definitely. But make sure that doing what you love is success to you. Then it can actually help you. So that's basically definition of success. Now, moving into some of the technology that I use to be efficient and organized. And also something that I wanted to point out, if you all have questions, go ahead and put it in the comments. You don't have to wait until I finish. We'll keep an engaging dialogue. So that's no problem. So I use some of the technology, and I'll give you some of the tips for what I use, and it could be completely different to you. The first one is communication. For me as an individual, and in the workplace that I work with, and with the people that I work with, communication is one of the most important tools. First of all, have an email address, and have a professional email address. If you have an email address that you've created like about 15, 20 years ago, and if you think that doesn't really suit the professional environment that you're going to, make sure you create a professional email address with your name or with the title that you're working for. And make sure that you created a habit to reply to emails at least with the 24-hour turnaround. I think one of the biggest problems we have, not just in Sri Lanka, in a lot of countries, and I think this is not a problem with a country. This is actually a problem with people's personalities. Make sure you reply your emails. I am working with a lot of people. I have worked with a lot of people. I have met a lot of owners and CEOs and high-level executives of companies who actually complain about people not being able to reply to their emails. I think in this day and age, replying to emails is one of the most important things if you want to improve in your career and have a career growth. So apart from that, keeping communication up, apart from that, some of the things that I do to keep myself stress-free. The first component of being stress-free is not having anything in your head, at least for me. My head is free all the time. Whenever I have a conversation, whenever I walk around or whenever I study, my head is actually free. My headspace isn't bogged down on a lot of things in my head. So first thing that I use is I use a calendar, which is in my phone. Whenever I have an event, whenever I want to study, whenever I'm traveling, I put it in my calendar because it's so easy. The calendar, it's so easy for me to plan my day. It's not in my head. I don't have to be like, wait, I had something on Tuesday, but I can't remember what it is. I put it on my calendar. If somebody says, hey, can I meet you tomorrow from 3 to 5? I just take out my phone and put it on my calendar because that helps me keep myself organized. And even when I'm scheduling meetings, even when I'm studying, it doesn't have to be meetings. Even when I'm studying, even when I'm resting, or even when I'm traveling something, I put the travel time on my calendar and make sure that I know what my plan is every day. And the important part is when I put these things in my calendar, I tell my calendar how I should work. It's not the other way around. I look at my calendar every day in the night. I look at the calendar next day and I plan myself according to what's in my calendar. So my calendar technically tells me how to do my day, and that makes you very efficient if you're using your calendar properly. The second thing that I do is I have a to-do list. So this is another thing that I use to keep my headspace free so that I'm not stressful all the time because I have a lot of work going on. The second thing that I use is I use a to-do list on my phone. So whenever there is something, let it be an assignment when I'm in a class, let it be an email that I need to send out, let it be a proposal that I need to type, let it be something that I need to look into, I just take out my phone and I put it in my to-do list. Every day in the night, I take a look at my to-do list to make sure that I have completed the task that I need to do for tomorrow. And even when I'm free, even when I'm in the office, or even when I'm studying, or even when I'm, just having some free time, I just take my phone out and look at the to-do list to see if there are easy things that I can complete. This way, you're not bogged down on a lot of things on your head, and there is less possibility for you to forget a lot of things. So just to wrap that up, I use my calendar so much. I tell my calendar what I need to do, and I use a to-do list. The third thing is I use reminders. And if you can actually connect to this live stream, these are free tools that you have at your fingertips. So make sure that you make use of that. I use reminders for a lot of my payments. So when you grow up, you're gonna get an income. When you get an income, there are a lot of subscriptions you will be making for, let it be newsletters, for let it be some magazines like Forbes and The Economist. You'll make a lot of subscriptions for mobile payments and stuff like that. I make reminders for every month that could be recurring for every month, recurring for every week. I use reminders so that it tells me what I need to do and when I need to pay those fees, so that I don't go into debt, or I don't get delayed and then I don't get charged. I also use payments to remind myself for a lot of things, like checking my everyday to-do list in the night, checking my calendar for the next day, so that I prepare in the night for the next day, so that I'm ready to go. I don't wake up in the morning, trying to pack my things, or trying to ransack what I need to do. I try to do it as a habit the night before. Something that I'll touch down before I move into the personality section is, just now with me, take your phone. If you're connected to the live stream from your phone, you can do this really quickly and join back up. But just take your phone and go to your home screen right now, if you can, and look at the apps you use in your phone. In this virtual age, I read an article on the New York Times. If I have the link, I'll share it later on here. In this day and age, the apps you have in your phone actually define your personality. So go and see what are the apps you have. If you take my phone, I use a lot of documentation. I like walking and engaging with people. So I have my Drive. I have a couple of applications to use my emails. I have a couple of applications that I can access documents on the Drive. I have Excel, Hootsuite, MailChimp, all those newsletter sites and software online that will promote my organization and help me be efficient on my phone. So take a look at your phone, and that will tell you who you are as a person. And another thing that I really think in this day and age that you need to have, or that you need to perfect, is being able to handle a Google Drive, or being able to handle some virtual assistant online. It's sometimes related with emails as well. Just making sure that you can type a letter. Let it be a request letter, let it be a scholarship, let it be a proposal. Just being able to type a document professionally and formally and put it in a template is one of the most important tools, or one of the most important skills you need to have in this day and age, at least from my experience. I think if you can type a letter, there are a lot of things you can do in this day and age in your career. And being able to have some basic skills in Excel will also help you in a variety of ways. For a lot of organizations that I've used, they want you to engage with other employees using emails and using virtual details like Google Drive, sharing a document, editing a document, typing letters, and stuff like that. So if you can do that, I think you have taken a couple of steps towards the growth of your career. Now that's all the things that I'll cover for using the technology. So make sure that you keep yourself up to date with the apps you use, and you define your personality in your phone so that it makes you efficient and organized. I'll move into personality, and when I'm moving into this specific personality point, it gets very personal. You need to figure out what kind of personality you need to have depending on your industry. So if you're in the nonprofit industry, if you are in the defense industry, if you're in in the development industry, whatever it is, you need to have some kind of personality, and I'll tell you something, and you'll be able to relate it to your life also. The first thing that I really preach is the friend circle you have. I can't stress this enough. The friend circle you're going to have will contribute to your growth or decline in your personality or in your career or in your success, in your everyday success. You will relate to them intentionally or unintentionally. You will take on their personalities, you will take on their actions, you will take on their thought processes. So make sure that you choose your friend circle very, very carefully. Friend circle is not contributing to your development. If your friend circle is not contributing to your growth, if you're not learning, if you're not maturing, if you're not getting intellectual every day from your friend circle, I think it's time for you to think about a new friend circle. And I'll tell you another thing. When it comes to personalities, social media is very important. So people nowadays, even when you're getting recruited to a company, people look at your social media sites first. That's basically your first impression to people. Believe me, so many organizations do a Google search of yourself first before they hire you or before they make any interactions with you. So make sure that you have your social media and your virtual personality properly. Telling that your friend circle, I have seen so many instances where best friends post some of the most awkward photos of yourself on your birthdays. And I think if you have friends who do that, depending on your career again, maybe it's time to rethink what your friend circle is going to be, because they're not only tarnishing your online brand, but they're pulling you back from some of the growth opportunities that you can have, and some of the ways that organizations can look at you, some of your personalities. It'll draw it back from your virtual branding. So if you have friends, unintentionally or intentionally, for good reasons or even for bad reasons, who tarnish your image online, like posting some of the most awkward photos of yourself, maybe time you have spent with your friends personally on your Facebook or on your social media for your birthday and stuff like that, maybe it's time to rethink your friend group. Another thing that I'll stress on is learning to speak to a public audience. Some of the people actually have a genuine concern for public speaking, but if you can actually get help and try to learn to treat yourself and learn to speak in the public, I think that will help elevate your personality as well. Another thing is know your current affairs. People you follow on Facebook, people and celebrities and pages you follow on Facebook will also define what type of intellectual capacity or what type of industry you're going to work in. So go back and see who you're following. If you're seeing cat memes all the time on your Facebook, I mean, that's great, but if cat memes are the only things you see on Facebook or on your social media timelines, I think that's a problem. You need to be able to follow groups, follow pages, follow people that are aligned with your industry, aligned with the passion that you have, so that you're always updated with the current affairs in your industry. The third thing that I'm gonna speak about is plan your life, at least for 1 year. For me, I make sure that I have a plan for at least 6 months ahead, so that I know what I need to prepare myself for. Nothing's gonna fall off from heaven. You need to plan, just like you plan an event. You need to plan yourself. You need to have a budget. It's just like a business. Your individual self is just like a business. You make the decision, you analyze your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and you make the decision what kind of plan you want to have for the next 6 months or 1 year. So as an example, let's take a basic example, like applying for a university. So if you want to apply for a master's degree, or let's say an undergraduate degree in another year, you need to be able to plan, okay, by the next month is the application deadline. I need to apply by next month. Then in the second month, I need to have my financial records with me. So you need to plan your life like a business. You need to budget your life like a business for at least the next 6 months properly, step by step, so that you have a vision and you have a step-by-step process about how you want to grow your life. Another thing that I'm gonna mention is that all the information is at your fingertips. So if you don't know something, what I'm doing is I just go on Google and I read about it, and I get myself familiar with something that I don't know. And when I want to do some personal and professional development, probably like a course that I don't know, as an example, I didn't know Photoshop until recently, and I'm still learning. So I'm taking an online course about Photoshop. Some years back, we would have had to spend a lot of money, go to a class, or get a friend to support us to learn about something. But all the information is available at your fingertips for free. And I'm pretty sure if you can join this live stream, you have those. You're very lucky to have those opportunities with you. So make sure that you take advantage of those. The last thing that I would like to touch on is actually the slogan that I keep myself or keep my life oriented with, and that is, the good you do to society will always do good to you. I preach this and I practice this every single day. The good you do to society will always do good to you. So I make it a point to make sure that I help the people around me, that whatever I do is accountable. I keep in mind that I have a responsibility to be accountable for people around me, the people that I serve, even in the community, my friends, my parents, my family, and everybody. So I try to give back from whatever time I have, and I try to impact the community from the work I do. So before I just wrap up, I'll say that the greatest misconception in our whole life is YOLO. You only live once. The greatest misconception is that by saying YOLO, a lot of people think that you need to have a lavish lifestyle and that you need to just spend it away. I think that's the biggest misconception we've had. Because you only live once, you need to live your life with service leadership. You need to live your life that people remember, people will be happy for, and to contribute to a greater community that you have served. So those are some of the tips that I had. And just before I end this, I want to stress again that those tips that I've shared are personal to me. Those are the tips and the personalities using technology that I use to keep myself organized, to keep myself high in time management, to keep myself efficient, and to be able to serve a lot of people, while doing about 4 or 5 really big responsibilities. So thanks for joining. Now I'll spend some time taking questions. I know that I've had a couple of questions, so let me quickly run through some of the questions that I have. Okay, let's see. Hi Adisha. So I think I have a question from you. Let's see. Okay, so so Adisha, for your question, shifting, let's say you have 5 or 6 things to do. This actually comes up to me a lot. I usually have a lot of things to do within a given time, within a span of about an hour or something. So first thing that I do is, if I can delegate it, I delegate it. So there are a lot of things that I can do when it comes to student government, when it comes to IVolunteer International. Let's say I have a couple of things to do in IVolunteer International, student government, and then something to study. So there are 2 components that I can delegate, like SGA and IVolunteer International. I try to get help from someone. And this reminded me of something really good. When you're growing your personality, remember that it is okay to ask for help. So something that you can do is you can delegate your tasks. The second thing that you can do is you can prioritize your to-do list. So when you go through your to-do list, if there is, within that hour, if there's an assignment that's due in the next 30 minutes, obviously it goes without saying that the assignment has more priority than anything else. And then if there is, if there's a meeting or something you need to go to, possibly, go into that. So after that, so I think Adisha, I hope I answered your question. The first thing is try and delegating your tasks, and the second thing is prioritizing your to-do list is definitely going to help you be efficient. Another thing that I practice is I make sure that I can only go in my capacity. So as an example, let's say there are a lot of meetings coming up tomorrow, and then there are some to-do lists or things that people expect of me happening tomorrow. I sometimes tell them, no, I can't do it, because I look at my calendar for next day and I realize that, look, I have a lot of things to do, and I know my capacity. And I tell them, okay, maybe we'll have a chat on another day. So it's okay to say no, and it's okay to get help from other people as well. And prioritizing your task list is also going to definitely help you. I hope I answered your question, Adisha. If I didn't, please post another question. Okay, so Akshika has put a question. Okay, that's a really good question. What are the advices you would give to your 16-year-old self? The first advice I would give myself is evaluate your friend circle. I have had a lot of great friends who have actually helped me come here. I'm really thankful for that. I have had a lot of friends at Prefectship. I have had a lot of friends at Royal College, even in Interact. I have had a lot of friends who have given me a lot of opportunities to grow myself and a lot of opportunities to learn a lot. So I would tell my 16-year-old self to filter my friends, because just like I had a lot of friends who've helped me, there were instances where I would have had a better choice. So I would have told my 16-year-old self a couple of things. The first thing is to filter your friend circle. The second thing is to learn to plan your life. Because when I was 16 years old, I think a lot of people can relate to this. We're just in our school. We just do the things we like. We wake up and go to school, and then the day finishes at the end of the day. We just have a one-on-one day basis. So I will tell my 16-year-old self to plan my life at least for another 6 months and for another 1 year to be able to plan my life and to work towards this. I think that would have also contributed well. Yeah, Disha, you're very welcome. Akshika, I hope I answered the question. I have another question. Okay, so who are my idols and how have they impacted your life? My biggest idol is my mother and father. My mother and father actually have two different personalities, and I think I've learned from those two different personalities. When it comes to my father, he is a person who never says no, who is always ready to help people. Whenever he gets a call, asking for support, whenever he wants to help us, he wants to help the neighbor, whenever he wants to help his friends, he goes beyond his duty and capacity to help people. And I've seen how much of a contribution that has made to himself by being a nice person and by helping people. So I think that is ingrained on me. Definitely my mother and father are two of the greatest idols I've had. When it comes to my mother, she's very efficient. She's very organized, extremely organized, and she plans her day very well. And I think my dad doesn't have that a lot. But my dad does the outreach part of my life, and my mother has contributed to the whole efficient and organized part of my life. And those are the idols that I have. So whenever I have to take a decision, I always talk to them. And I've actually been lucky to have parents who have been open to have a discussion about things that we consider taboo subject in our society, especially in Sri Lanka. So my mother and father are one of the some of the biggest idols I have. And on top of that, I'll actually add, you don't have to go far away to find your idols. Your idols don't have to be Barack Obama. Your idols don't have to be Michelle Obama or somebody. I mean, it's great, they can be for sure. But if you look around your community, if you look around your friend circle and the stakeholders that you have in your life, you'll see that there are idols that you can relate to really quick, and they'll actually be able to contribute to your life faster than people who are far away, faster than people who you almost can't relate to, in a different culture, in a different status quo, in a different income level. To look around you and learn who your idols are. Okay, so what are my future goals? So I hope to graduate from Georgia Southern, and then I hope to look towards my graduate studies in defense and international diplomacy. I am really passionate about conflict resolution and international policy and diplomacy. So I'm hoping to go for my graduate programs like that, and then hope to build IVolunteer International to be more impactful, to grow some more and reach more lives. So I hope to go into the non-profit, non-governmental industry in a very concentrated topic on international diplomacy or defense, something like that. Yeah, so what are my future goals? Those are my future goals. Adisha, I have another question from you. Okay, that's a good question, and I know Adisha, you can relate it to too, because you're an entrepreneur, you're a very successful entrepreneur, and I'm happy for you. But I relate time not only just for my work, but I relate time to speak to the people I love, speak to my parents, and stay in touch with my friends as well. I have a separate list that I've made of friends and family that I need to keep in touch. And again, going back to doing this, writing these friend lists down doesn't mean that you have forgotten those friends. It's basically trying to keep your headspace free. So I have a list of friends listed out who I need to keep in touch, so that every day that I go back, once a month, I make sure, okay, I'm in touch with these friends. I send them a message, I keep in touch with them, and I make sure that they're okay. and I'm keeping in touch with them. That's because we've grown up. It's high time that we understand that we've grown up and we have different lifestyles. So I do allocate time to sleep. I try to sleep at least 4 hours a day. At least 4 hours a day. Doesn't mean I sleep 4 hours every day, so don't misunderstand me. I have good sleep every day. But I try to at least sleep 4 hours a day, and I definitely allocate my time for that. My theory is you need sleep. My theory is if you can't sleep, or if you are not sleeping and doing a lot of work, then you're not efficient. Then you haven't managed your time properly. So if there's a lot of hours in your day, so make your work done, or otherwise those work must be delegated. If you can't do both of those work must go to the next day. You cannot compensate your sleep and do work. Now, there are very rare instances when I get homework and I get bogged down a lot of work. I may have to sleep 4 hours. So that's why I said I at least sleep for 4 hours. Otherwise, usually I have good sleep. So Adisha, don't waste your sleeping time on things that you can do during your day. So and there's another question. Okay, so if you are given the chance to change something in your life or decisions you made, what would they be? I'm going to give a little different answer. There is nothing in my life that I would have changed. Even if I go back, I would have spent my life the exact same way that I've spent it so far. The failures I have had has brought me here. The wrong decisions that I've taken has taught me a lot of things. And the good times, the friends I've had, the friends I have right now, and the steps that I've taken so far has made me who I am today. So actually, there's absolutely nothing. When I look back on my life, I'm very happy. I've helped a lot of people. I've been lucky to have the opportunity to help a lot of people, and I love having the capacity to help a lot of people. When I look back in my life, there's absolutely nothing that I would change. I'll take all the failures. I'll take all the wrong decisions I've done, and I will spend the life I have done so far, because that's who I am today. So there's another question. Any idea to move into mainstream politics? Okay, so we highly suggest that. No, the question is, for now, in my capacity and in my age and in my understanding as a 23-year-old talking to you today, no, I'm not. I don't have any intentions to go into politics for a couple of things. In my life, I believe in impacting people and impacting communities. And I think myself, from my capacity and expertise, I can impact the people in Sri Lanka or the community that I live in without being a politician. So if I don't have to run around in the politics, if I don't have to engage myself and invest a lot of time in promoting some election and getting myself elected into some capacity, if I don't have to play the party politics and get myself, or distance myself from the community. Usually when you get elected, there's, a lot of things. You basically distance yourself from the community you live in. If I don't have to do all of that, and if I can still impact my community, I think I'll go for the latter decision. So from my nonprofit organization, from the variety of positions that I hold right now, I impact lives of students. I impact lives in my community. So if I can do that, I don't have to be a politician. So as of right now, I can change my mind probably in the future. I hope not to. But as of right now, I have no intention of joining mainstream politics. So thank you, Adisha. I appreciate it. There's another question. Any advice to Sri Lankan youth on how to improve the country? Definitely. So the first thing that I want to tell is, please take action. Don't be scared. Don't be scared, or don't think that you can't take action. As an example, when I started my nonprofit organization, it simply started with a Facebook page, and I'm inspired by a lot of work that the Sustainable Education Foundation does with Akshika and his team. It's a Facebook page. It's a Facebook page providing us, people who are working in different industries, to come and share our thoughts with you. And I think that's, making a difference. You don't have to make a difference of thousands of people, 10,000 people in one day. If you're making a difference for 2-3 people, I think that sparks change. So 2 things that I want to say. First thing is, don't be scared to take action. Action starts with a very small step. It's just like when you get out of bed, that's when you start your day. Just like you take a really small step to talk to someone about a problem, take awareness on Facebook, on social media, make a page and start a campaign. That's when action starts. So make sure that you use the resources you have to take action. And the second thing is be involved. I think the biggest problem from the brain drain after we had the war is people don't know how to get involved. When we're having discussions on Facebook, we need to understand that we're all living in one country. I'm saying one country because this question was specifically about Sri Lanka. We are living in one country, and we want to understand the fact that we're all living together. So if I'm one person, and if I make somebody who's living in my same country, somebody else's life better, that's going to make my country better. And that's going to therefore make my life better. Especially because of the recent, problems that, the sexist agendas and stuff like that were going on. Some of the very, unimaginable posts that were posted on Facebook. When I go down to these comments and I look through a lot of people talking, and I feel like, people have misunderstood that they are on two different sides of the spectrum. They are actually not. They're living in the same country. And if there are more women taking action, if there are more women in our political system, if there are more women in the workforce, if there are more women with equal pay, that is going to contribute to our same society. So that's what people don't understand. If men are treated equally, if women are treated the same, if everybody is treated equally as human beings, if everybody is included in the conversations, I think that's going to contribute to our same society. I think that's what people don't understand. So whenever you take action, especially for young people in Sri Lanka like me, we need to take action together. We need to understand we're not on two sides of the we're on the same coin, basically. So that's the answer to that question. So there's another question. How being the head prefect of Royal College impacted your personality? Okay, so I think Interact and being the head prefect has been the two most vital responsibilities that I've had in my entire life. And those are the two most biggest opportunities that have grown me so much. Being the head prefect of Royal College actually gave me perspective. Royal College is like a small country. Royal College has people coming from various different status quos. We have people who are improving on their financial status. We have people who are really stable on their financial status. We have people coming from divided family backgrounds. We have people coming from very cultured family backgrounds. We have all ethnicities, all religions in Royal College. So it's like a small country. We have different personalities. We have people with different agendas. We have leaders. We have followers. So providing leadership to all those stakeholders actually gave me a lot of grew my personality a lot. There were a lot of discussions that I had to do with the administration that gave me insight on how the college works, on how an organization needs to work. It gave me, speaking with students, it gave me the capacity to understand that it's not always a brain game. There needs to be some kind of emotion. There needs to be some kind of human emotion that needs to go into when we're taking decisions. And it also taught me that whenever we take a decision, it shouldn't be about you. It shouldn't be about your year or your tenure. It should be about the collective impact that it will make to your organization. As an example, in my prefects council, some of the decisions we took, it wasn't about us. It was not about our year. It was about 5-10 years to come. How will the prefects council be able to contribute to my college, contribute to the good life of the students, to a better prefects council, to a better operating Royal College where we can provide better education and provide better branding, provide more resources to students. So I think giving leadership to all those stakeholders actually grew me as a person, and that helped. So yeah, I think that's all the questions I have. I've spent about 45 minutes to almost. That about, I'll probably stay on for a couple of minutes. Okay, I think there's another question. How do you like your legacy to be? I want to be the person. If I'm remembered for some reason, I don't think I'm not saying I should be, but if I have that opportunity, I think I would love it if I'm remembered as a person who always wanted to help people, because I take advantage on being able to help people. I take a lot of opportunities that I have in my serving capacities to make someone's lives better. And I don't know if that's selfish because it makes me happy, if you get what I'm saying. So helping somebody because it makes me happy can sometimes be selfish as well. But I take a great responsibility in that. The fact that I'm in a capacity, I'm lucky enough to have parents who can support me. I'm lucky enough to have these opportunities. And therefore, I try to give back to the community. So I think that's basically my legacy, if I answered that question properly. My brother's doing great. I think I think since this is a session about uh, aligning our lives in technology and personality for success, let's keep it at that. But about my brother, I'm very glad you asked that question. He's doing very fine. He is growing in his career and his academics as well. Okay, so I think there's about another 20 seconds to go. So I think I'll probably stay for those 20 seconds and see if there are any questions. Okay, sounds great. Thank you so much for everybody. I really appreciate it for joining and asking me some questions and sharing it. I hope that I've helped you in some way to be efficient and to organize yourself better. If there are any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I would like to thank the Sustainable Education Foundation for the work they do and for the education components they share with everyone. All the best, and thank you so much. Have a great evening to everybody in Sri Lanka. Have a good day for everybody who's joining from the US. Thank you. Bye.